Snoop Dogg's name is being tied into Tupac's passing case, as currently the police recently arrested a man named Keffe D in connection to the crime.
For 27 years, the family of Tupac Shakur has been waiting for justice. We are here today to announce the arrest of 60-year-old Dwayne Keith Davis, aka Keffe D, of Tupac Shakur. Davis was arrested this morning by my LVMPD criminal apprehension team, and this investigation started on the night of September 7th, 1996. It has taken countless hours, really decades, of work by the men and women of our section to get to where we are today.
As Tupac's case is reopened, with a new police team investigating connections to the crime, it would be announced today, breaking, Snoop Dogg arrested and questioned to Tupac Shakur's passing. Police questions the rapper's recent interviews online, as Snoop Dogg was recently invited onto a podcast. As while being interviewed, Snoop would reveal something that we never knew about the night that Tupac Shakur sadly passed.
You were with Tupac, though, in regards to Tupac, I heard a story. Did you give him different advice that night on where to go?
I didn't give him no advice.
Right.
We wasn't seeing eye to eye.
Right.
So
saying during the Tyson.
Yeah, this incident that I'm explaining to you right now was the day before that.
Okay.
So when they got to Vegas, they went their way, I went back. I mean, when we got to LA, they went to Vegas and I went home. That's why I wasn't in the car with them.
As the police are questioning on why Snoop Dogg did not get into the vehicle with Tupac and Suge Knight when he was supposed to be there. Did Snoop Dogg know something was going to happen and that Tupac was being targeted? To understand this, we need to dive deep into how Tupac Shakur actually passed. As on September 7th, 1996, Tupac was in Vegas with the head of his record label named Suge Knight. The two were off to the MGM Grand to watch a Mike Tyson match. As after it was over and they headed back into the lobby of the casino, they would end up spotting an op inside of the lobby.
Suge Knight and their entourage went to the Mike Tyson at the MGM Grand. Keffe D and his nephew, Orlando Lane Anderson, and two of their friends were also there. Keffe D told LAPD Detective Greg Kading more than a decade ago, in a proffer that couldn't be used against him, the shooting was retaliation after Tupac jumped Orlando and him up at the casino. Surveillance cameras recorded the fight. Tupac was angry that Lane had stolen his necklace years prior in Compton. Tupac, Suge Knight, and the entourage left the casino quickly,
as security would end up breaking up the altercation between Tupac, Suge Knight, and the ops inside of the lobby, as Tupac and Suge Knight would then go back to their hotel to change. The two were then off to a club named 662 that is actually owned by Suge Knight himself. At around 11 p.m., when they began heading over to the club, this is where things would go down in the street, as the same ops they had an altercation with inside of the lobby were actually hunting them the entire time, and sadly ended up catching Tupac and Suge lacking in the middle of the road.
Members knew about Tupac's concert at the Club 662. Members, including Orlando and Keffe D, jumped in their white Cadillac and started cruising the strip looking for the offender. Before long, they finally spotted Tupac's caravan. At the intersection of East Flamingo Boulevard and Koval Lane, the white Cadillac pulled alongside the black BMW with Suge on the driver and Tupac on the passenger seats. The back window of the Cadillac rolled down.
As after the crime was done, the entire incident was a mystery for over a decade. Nobody knew exactly who was inside of that rival's vehicle, and this was all until recently, where the police would investigate a very weird interview by Keffe D on DJ Vlad's show. As during the interview, it actually begins with him literally detailing the moments of finding Tupac and then pulling up on him.
And Bubble Up was the driver, and Baby Lane and Freaky were in the back seat.
We was just all in the car together. Just say that.
This was the white Cadillac.
Yeah.
So you guys are driving around, and then you hear these girls say, "Tupac, Tupac."
Got to the light. We was gonna go drink, and he happened to be hanging out the window. He was hanging out the window like he was in a parade.
Tupac.
Yeah, he was.
So what happens next? You said that as you're driving up towards the BMW, with Suge driving and Tupac in the passenger seat.
As for years, this was a mystery, and Keefe D is practically self-snitching on himself as well as his friends that were inside of the vehicle. As even later on in the interview, he would then share an interrogation that he had with the police over a decade ago that has never been shown to the public until today.
Lane starts. You say Suge looks over, he sees you. He looks right at you.
Yeah, he looked at me.
Okay. When he looks over at you, and then Tupac's busy getting. Evidently, the story is Tupac's trying to either get out
In
of
the
the
back seat or something.
Yeah. What do you see happening inside of their
Jumping
car?
in. I seen him going Suge head. I thought he was.
So Orlando across Dre?
He leaned over on the window. We rolled down the window.
As Keefe D released this footage for the first time ever, announcing that he was at the crime scene inside of the car and that he even made eye contact with Suge Knight while it was all going down. What Keefe D would say next was even more concerning, stating that it only went as far as it did due to Tupac Shakur reaching for his firearm.
You said that as you're driving up towards the BMW with Suge driving and Tupac in the passenger seat, and you said that Tupac pulled out a...
It looked like he was reaching, yeah. Yeah, it did.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did you actually...
No, once he got the reaching, I got the ducking.
So someone from your car
That's what happened.
started at Tupac and Suge.
As during the police's investigation, they would also add another part of a Keefe D interview to the evidence file, which goes on to share what Keefe D's reaction to Tupac sadly passing truly was, even showing his true emotions to the crime.
Yeah, I hate that happened, dog. I really do, man. Because it took a lot of people's lives, dude. I hate that happened. Promise to God. I feel they should, that was wrong, man. It was just wrong, purely wrong. You know what I'm saying? I wish it had never happened. You know what I'm saying? That's my opinion on it. Wish it had never happened, dude. You know what I'm saying? I lost my Colombian plug. You know what I'm saying? Been having the feds up for 15 years. Couldn't do nothing. Couldn't catch a break, bro. You know what I'm saying? And I did time for it.
However, this is where things would get even weirder, as Keefe D would end up writing an entire book on being involved in Tupac's passing. This is titled Compton Street Legend. It is even found on Amazon, as inside of this book, it actually has hints towards doing the crime and exactly who did it. As Snoop Dogg would go on to reveal, why is he now just being arrested for this crime after decades? He has an entire book of admitting to doing the crime, as well as several interviews saying that he was inside of the rival's car. As many fans end up believing that it's only a cover-up, that he's being arrested all these years later, as somebody is allegedly coming close to figuring out that Tupac is still alive. To understand this further, we need to dive deep into a man named Notorious B.I.G., otherwise known as Biggie Smalls. Many fans believe that he was responsible for the hit, as Biggie Smalls have been accused of going after Tupac many times in the past. Their beef started all the way back in 1994. It started when Tupac Shakur was going to the studio to record a verse. However, walking into the studio doors, three guys would immediately jump him inside of the lobby, as they would go on to snatch his golden chains. Coincidentally, Biggie and his crew were at the exact same studio when it all went down. However, Biggie tried covering it up, saying that it was just all a coincidence and that he had nothing to do with it. However, according to rumors, the story does not end here, as ever since Tupac was declared to be passed in 1996, theories about him faking his passing and still being alive has risen all over the internet and news, and is one of the most popular things of all time in the music industry. And from interviews with Suge Knight, you would notice that allegedly Tupac was apparently doing fine in the hospital before his passing, as Suge Knight would state, and I quote, "I mean, when I left that hospital, me and Pac were laughing and joking, so I don't see how someone can turn from doing so well to doing so bad."
I mean, when I left that hospital, me and Pac was laughing and joking. So I don't see how somebody can turn from doing well to doing bad.
So you seriously think that he might still be alive?
I'm gonna tell you this, Pac, you never know.
However, what's really weird about this is that Tupac was supposedly in a deep sleep. So how in the world would he and Suge Knight be laughing and joking if Tupac was sleeping? This does not seem to add up, but then when you listen to his 2008 interview, Suge Knight would say once again, Tupac was alive and well.
So he was conscious on the way to the hospital?
He was conscious on the way to the hospital, he was conscious in the ambulance, he was conscious after they did the surgery.
What was the last thing that he said to you?
They left.
As the strange part was, only several weeks after doing this interview and leaking this information, Suge Knight was involved in an incident at a nightclub where a man was using a firearm in his direction. Suge Knight was hesitant to tell the police anything about the nightclub incident. However, many believe it was all connected to him talking in this interview about Tupac being alive, as this all connects to a story that happened in 2018. Suge Knight Jr., aka Suge Knight's son, would end up going to Instagram to state that Tupac was still alive and that he was living in Malaysia, as Suge Knight Jr. would post this photo to his Instagram, showing a text conversation where someone said, "You said too much, it's now time for you to go." As Suge Knight Jr. then began panicking, he would start posting several photos of Tupac alongside modern day celebrities such as 50 Cent and Beyonce. He would then even make it seem like more people were going after him for leaking all of this info, as on the photo with Tupac and Beyonce, he would caption it, "He never left us, but they'll be after me soon." As while many believe this is a publicity stunt for Suge Knight's son to gain clout, others believe that it's all factual, and that if anyone would know more about Tupac being alive, it would be Suge Knight and his son more than anyone else in the world, considering Suge was right there at the scene of the crime. Then again in 2010, a rapper named Tretch was interviewed on the topic of Tupac before a show. Tretch and Tupac were very close homies back in the day, even working on a few albums together, but here's where things get weird. Tretch's interview, a cameraman forgot to stop recording. He placed his camera on the floor, and then in the footage, you can hear the interviewer ask Tretch about Tupac, to which Tretch responds, "Last time I saw him, he was in Cuba."
So if you ain't ready for it, get on the sidewalk.
One last question. Is Pop still alive?
Nobody knows.
Y'all good? Yeah, we good. We good. Thanks a lot, man. We good.
Last time I saw him, he was in church.
A month later after that interview was leaked, a video was then released on a news website showing a video of Tupac supposedly chilling in a parking lot inside of Cuba.
Zoom in. That's Pac, man. He was the outlaw. And Reg from Holla Back is trying to be friendly and get autographs. Holla Back exclusive, baby. Holla Back.